Welcome back everyone to another Ret Paladin video. Verabin here. Today we're going through 5 mistakes that I made while climbing 0 to 2500 CR in Solo Shuffle. Usually I post PvP content about big one-shots or strategies, but today we're looking at the underbelly of PvP and some of the biggest mistakes that I've made in Solo Shuffle. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes better than I have. A big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Factor, but more on that later. The first big mistake I made was chasing someone around a pillar and away from my healer. Every once in a while this would result in a kill, but more often it was me dying behind a pillar. This is a classic melee zug mistake when you think you're so close to a kill and you just want to win. I get it, I really do, but you should never LOS your healer. Always know where your healer is and stay in their line of sight. It's your job to stay in their line of sight, not the other way around. The second mistake was not properly trading cooldowns. This means that I would pop Divine Protection, then a few seconds later I would pop Shield of Vengeance, and then a few seconds later I might end up bubbling anyway. The reality is that if the enemy team is using every cooldown on the planet like Combustion or Serenity or Metamorphosis or all of the above, you should use your biggest cooldown that you have, and that's Divine Shield. Always be mindful of your healer's cooldowns as well though, as in if a priest puts a dome on top of you and they're not in CC, you shouldn't need to bubble. Do your best to not overlap your big cooldowns with the healer's big cooldowns, but in my opinion, you can definitely trade your smaller cooldowns like Shield of Vengeance in combination with your healer's big cooldowns like Pain Suppression or Iron Bark. Combining them can ensure your survival. You can also have other big buttons available like Lay on Hands or Blessing of Protection and Spell Warding for later on in the fight. Just survive for 30 seconds and you'll have another big save available. The third mistake is related to the second, and that's not using Lay on Hands early enough. Lay on Hands is heavily nerfed in PvP, and because dampening stacks up so quickly, it becomes a very underwhelming cooldown. Generally speaking, I save this for a teammate whenever my healer is in CC, but if it's obvious that I'm the kill target, I would also use it on myself pretty early on in the match. The fourth mistake is not using Flash of Light on cooldown. This should be part of your rotation just like Blade of Justice, and I put it into my weak aura in place of Crusader Strike. I also have a macro that heals the target of my target so that it's easier to put heals on the kill target without having to swap targets or have too many keybinds. Flash of Light is affected by dampening as well, so this helps less and less as the battle goes on, but especially early on and during wings, it can heal for so much. Sometimes I look back at games and I see that I cast maybe 5 Flash of Lights in a 2-minute game where I could have cast 20 Flashes of Light. If Flash heals for an average of 40k, that's 15 times 40k or 600,000 healing that I left on the table. The last mistake I want to talk about was not being comfortable with my keybinds. There have been times where I froze up and couldn't figure out what to press, and I did nothing for a GCD or two. Being comfortable with your keybinds and never having empty globals is incredibly important. This might seem like a rookie mistake, and I guess it is, but spending time on the training dummy is actually really helpful here. I always run a skirmish or two in between solo shuffles to make sure that I'm warmed up for those big games. Don't forget to click my link in the description below for 50% off your first order of Factor. They offer convenient, affordable, great tasting food delivered to your door. You get 50% off your first order and you directly support the channel. Don't forget to hash that like button and subscribe for more. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the other mistakes that you've been making in PvP. I'll see you in the next video.